4.
Data scams to avoid.
Welcome to the Data for All podcast. I'm Charlene Apigian.
And I am Charlene Apigian, where we want to empower you to think different with data.
Oh, yes. And on today's episode of the Data Fours, we have brought back our favorite guest, my mom, to talk about what I think is a very important topic, and that's data scams and fraud and ways to avoid that. We talk about this all the time, and we understand that it's become a lot harder to navigate through that crazy world of data and technology. Mm-hmm. And hopefully this will be a little bit of a helpful guide to help you and many others, not just older generations, but basically everybody, on what to avoid, either scams, frauds, or anything that's out there. So have you ever been scammed, or do you feel like you've been on the phone or seen an email where you've had to really think about it?
Oh, I've had many emails, and
Yes.
what I do is I contact my personal guy here, and or I just forward it to him and say, "What?
Yeah.
What is this? What do I do?" And you usually, almost every time, say, "Forget about it. Just, delete it. Don't worry about it."
Yeah.
And because I don't know.
That's right.
I mean, I'm from a different time.
Yeah, and it's also just changes so rapidly that it's not fair to even try to keep up.
Oh,
and so maybe today we can do that. So the Data Fours, just so you know, is we have 4 topics, and we go rapid fire throughout that. We try to keep it a shorter than the great episode that we had with you.
God.
It is by far the number one in my heart. I'll at least say that for sure. So what do you think? About ready to get going on this?
I am ready.
Okay, so the way this goes is we will go through what we think are the 4 top data scams. Okay, we'll do it in 4 main categories, really, and because it goes into telephone scams, internet and email scams will be number 2, investment and financial scams will be number 3, and then healthcare and prescription scams will be our 4th one. Okay. So, are any? You want to just start at the top and go down, or how would you like to do this?
Yeah, let's just go along, because some of these I've never heard of. I don't get those kind of scams.
Well, that's a good thing if you don't, but there are things that you have to watch out for. Now, we're not going to go through all this, but we'll try to highlight some of the things that we think, especially our older friends, should definitely be watching out for.
Okay.
So, you want to start with those telephone scams?
Yeah. Oh.
All right. The first one you have to think about is, Dad's a good example. His hearing is not very good. Mm-hmm. So if somebody was to call, he may not hear it as well. And so somebody could very easily say, "Hi, Grandpa, is that you?" And he will probably immediately say, "Hey, is that you, Jacob?" And then the person will start having a conversation with him.
Right.
So those are ones I'm hoping hasn't happened to you yet.
It has not. But the biggest problem is that for all the years that he was in business, when a phone call came in for him, or he answered it before we could even answer it for him, he would put the phone up to his ear and he'd say, "Ardo," so they would know who they were talking to. He still does that.
Yeah, I know.
And
it's a terrible
I said,
habit.
Don't let anybody know what your name is, because they will call back and say, "Hey, Ardo."
Yep.
And he's going to think it's somebody that knows him. And there's nothing wrong with his brain. He's not used to this stuff.
Right. And when it gets to telephone scams, it could be the grandpa or grandma scam. It could be somebody acting like they're from a government agency. It could be somebody saying you want a prize. It could be tech support where they see that there's suspicious activity, and if you verify, almost every time the telephone scam is trying to get information about you. Yeah. So it's pretty simple if you think about how to avoid this. First, look at the phone number. Do you know the phone number? Do you answer phone? Now, you probably answer more phone calls where you don't know the number because of doctor's appointments and things like that. Is that
Yeah,
fair to
but
say?
there's usually something on there to identify it.
Okay.
Like our system here is IHA Trinity. Okay, if it's anything like that, I'm going to answer it. If what I have found is lately, I don't answer as many because if it's legitimate, they'll either leave a message
Yep.
or they're going to call back.
Yes. Second, if there's any delay,
Right.
assume it's a scam or somebody's trying to sell you something.
Right.
Because what it is they're doing basically auto dialing until somebody picks up. And
Right.
the minute you pick up, all of a sudden you hear somebody. If it takes a millisecond longer than normal, assume it's a scam.
Yeah, luckily, many of the times we're together in the den, and the phone will ring, and he'll pick it up, and I think I've got him off of giving his name, but
Yeah.
if he says hello a second time, I say hang it up.
Yep.
And he looks at me like I'm crazy. I said just hang it up. And then I think he's getting used to me doing that too because I'm awful bossy, and that's okay.
So know the phone number. If you don't answer, if it's any a little bit of a delay, and then if they ask for information for you to verify your account before you even have determined who they are, assume it's a scam as well.
Absolutely. Don't give out any information. If it's that important, tell them to write you a letter or something.
Write a letter. You will go to their website. You ask for their website where they can, or how can they get back to you? What is the name? I had that once where somebody, and it was a legit one, but they were like, we need you to verify your information before we can talk to you. And I'm like, wait a minute, I don't even know if you're real. And I'm like, give me your website address and a phone number that I can call you back, and I'll be happy to do that. And they were a little bit bossy about it, and I finally just said, all right, I want to know who you are, what you're doing, and why you have business with me. And so it took a while, but I just will not give anybody information. So that's the first one, telephone. We'll get more to some tips and tricks at the end, but again, this is rapid fire, so we got to keep going.
And ask them questions.
Oh.
Absolutely. I asked one guy, I said, so what's your name? Click. Thank you. I couldn't believe it. That was the fastest.
Well, there you go. Oh, I like that one.
Ask them, are you a blonde or are you married? I have a daughter that I think you would love to click.
Oh, that'll do it. Or definitely ask
whatever.
what town they're in.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And see if, a lot of times they'll just say Dallas, and I'm like, that accent doesn't sound like Dallas to me. For sure. All right, let's get to the number two. Number two is internet or email scams, and this one is getting harder. First and foremost, I've got a couple of tricks, but just remember, there's phishing scams. Phishing is phishing, and that's where they are acting like there's something else, like it's PayPal or your bank. And what they'll do is they'll just send out something from whatever your bank might be, and we're not going to say what your bank is.
No.
And when they do that, if they send that to everybody, somebody's going to click on it because somebody is a customer of that bank.
Sure.
And so that's what phishing is. They send out thousands and thousands of emails, and all they need is one to click. And what it is they're clicking on something that then is going to a website that is malicious. Okay, so there's two things you got to watch out. Now, we've all heard of like the Nigerian scams, and that's where the rich prince from somewhere else wants your money. We all know that's not the case. But I would also watch out for two other types, and that's inheritance or lottery. You just won a bunch of money. Click here and verify your information. Anytime you have to click in an email to verify your information, what do?
I delete.
You delete and do not click.
do not click. Yeah,
so
just
you
delete.
hang up.
Yeah.
You do not click.
If it's that important,
right.
I'll get legitimate something from a different way.
Other thing could be investment type stuff, and of course, if there's a job offer that's too good to be true, guess what? It's
too good to be true.
There
Yeah.
you go. But when you look at that, there's a couple of things that I will do, and I highly encourage you. I know that I always have you have the right click ability on your computer. So when you right click, it brings up the little menu thing, so you can copy and paste. So instead of clicking on a link, you can copy that into a Word document. Okay, and I've done this for you where I see that, and when I click it, and if it comes in and it's this weird URL and it's not chase.com or what amazon.com, I know it's a scam, and it'll be usually something that's got like .uk or something that's across overseas. Also, look closely at the email that it's from. And a lot of times it'll say, again, I'll use Chase because I know that's not your bank, and Chase is there, but if you look at the actual name, it's going to be something weird. And so always looking at the email address, and never clicking on a link in an email. But if you're curious, you can copy and paste it into, but you right click and then copy address. Okay. And I'll show you how to do that, and maybe we do some more videos.
I'm sure I must have a couple of them on my computer right now.
Anything that has a link in it, we can definitely do.
Yeah,
so the emails, I like what you do. You just forward it to me, and you do that.
Yeah.
The other thing I will recommend, I highly recommend, is do not download videos to your computer or any type of file. Always watch out for that. Like your buddy sends you a video. You don't know where they got that from, so just watch out for those as well.
What can they do?
A video is an executable file, which means it can have other things that are malicious in it. And you may not know. And if anything says .exe or anything that's not something that you recognize, do not do it. Because that's something that can get on your computer. And the minute you double click it on your computer, it can execute something else, which could be malicious.
Oh, Lord.
That's why when you send me, watch this video, and I say, I will not download videos, that's what I mean by that.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. We're still going. How about... let's see, where are we on our numbers here?
Investment.
We've got all right, investment in financial scams. This one's a pretty easy one. I'm looking at where they are in here. Did I get those? There they are. And it's really one of those simple things that I would always watch out for. Anytime it sounds too good to be true, just assume it is. And if somebody calls and says, if you just give $100 in a month, you'll get $1,000. It ain't going to happen. They're going to get your $100 and you're never going to hear from them again.
Yeah.
There's so many different things. Also, anything where it's where they need money today and then in the future. The only people that you should be doing any type of investment or financial stuff with is somebody you trust. And
Correct.
If you do not already have that relationship with like an E-Trade or something online, stick to humans.
That's what we do.
Yeah, and I know Dad is one where he will do stock trades with a human and pays for it.
That's
and
okay.
he also does very good in the stock market.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to complain about that. And also he knows and trusts those individuals, will do what he needs, and he's never been scammed, at least in that area. So those are things that are, so you have to watch out for Ponzi schemes. Those are the ones where you're expected to give all of this money you're going to get in the end if you just give a little bit today. Or you've heard of pyramid schemes.
Yeah.
Stay away from anything like that.
Yeah.
And then, of course, I would say advance fee fraud, which is you have to give somebody money and hope for money after the fact. Not worth it, let me tell you.
No.
Number 3 or 4, we're ready for number 4. So let me recap. We've done our telephone scams. We've done our internet and email scams. That was number 2.
Right.
Our third one was the investment and financial scams. And then our last one here is
Healthcare and prescription scams.
This is one you really have to watch out for.
I've never had anything like that.
So these are the kind where a lot of times Your clock goes off, what, every 3 minutes? Is that what it is?
Every 15. Sorry.
That's okay. We'll go with it because these mics probably won't pick it up that much. But with healthcare or prescription scams, it usually goes to insurance claims. And you'll have to watch out for that. Like, for example, you could get not just insurance claims, but just claims in general. You could get a bill for radiology. And
That never happened.
Never happened, but how do you know, right? Because they could see that you went to the doctor on the 15th of November, and you just get a bill for services that day, and it's so confusing that you could end up just writing a check to somebody that doesn't exist.
Well, yeah. But the whole point is that when you go, all you have to do is call the doctor's office and say, what is this?
Absolutely.
And they will, if they don't know what it is, they'll find somebody that does know what it is, or they'll tell you it's fake or whatever. Question everything.
You know, you just nailed it. I would call the doctor every time I get a bill that's outrageous. Mm-hmm. You know, I got one recently for something, and it was like $400. It should have been $100. I called them up. You know what they said? I'm sorry, you're right. It should be $100.
Wow.
We will resend that in. We must have coded it wrong. I mean, which, by
Obviously.
the way, that was the first time that's ever happened. It's always, that's $400, just pay it. And but question everything, because you don't know what is, and question it to your insurance as well, because they might be putting stuff on there.
Absolutely.
You just don't know. And so there's fake health insurance claims. There's prescription drugs is another one. Where have you ever received an email or been notified, hey, you can get cheaper prescription drugs through this, or you can get that same thing you've been getting?
I'm not sure if I have or not, but I know what our prescriptions are. I know I get it from the same drugstore. If they don't happen to have it, they pass me on to someone else, or say, go to another drugstore or whatever, you know, to get your prescription filled. I tend to only do things that are nearby.
Yeah.
So, like, there was a prescription for your dad that, for some reason, that drugstore chain cannot get it anymore for some reason, and they made a suggestion. I went to the other place, no problem. I will continue with that.
Yeah.
But I've never had, I don't know that I've ever had anyone call with a fake bill for something. That doesn't mean it can't happen, but I very firmly would think that I would question it over and over again, and then go to, like you say, go to your insurance. That's what the customer service is all about.
Yeah, but, you know, it's hard because it's confusing. It's time consuming and could be very frustrating when you're pinged from one person to the other.
Okay, it's time consuming. I'm an old lady. I got nothing but time. It's okay. You know, come on.
Well, for me, I'm going to send you my people, and you go after them to bring down my bills, because I don't have the time.
I'm not afraid.
Well, I like, we hit the 4, but can we, I don't want to finish with that. How about if we do 4 effective strategies to safeguard against scams and frauds?
Wow.
What do you think?
Okay.
And you've already hit on a lot of them. I think, you know, it's obvious that I preach a lot to you and tell you, and you've made mistakes in the past.
Oh, sure.
And we've learned together about this, but I'm going to give you my 4 most effective strategies to safeguard. Okay. Number 1 is not pretty easy because it's hard to do, but I highly encourage it. It's the most important thing. It's stay informed and skeptical. It's hard staying informed, so stay skeptical.
Believe no one.
No, exactly. When somebody asks for something, either in an email or in on a phone call, assume they're trying to scam you, and then be delighted when they're not.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
Second, verify information independently. If you think you're being scammed at all, go outside of that phone call or email to verify online. Everybody's online. And all you have to do a lot of times is put in the company name and then reviews.
Oh, yeah.
And you'll see if it's a scam immediately.
Yeah.
Also, if you decide to buy something online, this is another good example, to verify independently, go do the same thing. I bought I wanted to get an Armenian national soccer jersey for myself and for one of my sons. And so I went to a website and it looked legit, but I was like, all right, I've never heard of it before. I independently went off and I looked at reviews, and the reviews are really good. I bought the jersey, I got it, no problems. It was a legit company. But at first, because it wasn't Amazon, I'm always going to be skeptical.
Yeah.
And that's basically it. If it's not Best Buy or Amazon, I always independently verify the information.
Wow.
It's just worth doing. And if you get a phone call and somebody is trying to get your information, what is your main advice?
Hang up.
Hang up. Good
Absolutely.
for you.
Hang up.
If it's legit, they'll call you back. If they give you the name, you go verify it independently and you call them back.
Yeah.
Why not? Okay. Number 3 of course, is always protect personal information. And one way to do that is to have good passwords. Mm-hmm. Have good passwords. And you're not bad. You're not good, but you're not bad. And of course, just protecting that can be as simple as when you throw away personal information documents.
I shred everything.
Excellent. That's exactly what I wanted to hear. If you don't have a shredder, rip it up and make sure you rip over the name and over the account numbers. Always do that. There is a thing called dumpster diving.
Yeah.
Isn't that unbelievable?
What a job.
Yes, but it could be a lucrative job for some people. Mm-hmm. Last is to use secure and updated technology. The best advice I can give there is if you're using a computer, use an updated computer. I have you use Apple computers, Apple devices, because I feel they are the most secure and easiest for somebody like you, and for me, by the way, to use and feel safe.
Yeah.
And if you're using a PC, just know that you can have software and make sure the safeguards are there. It's getting better. It's one of those things where just have strong passwords and ways to authenticate. It's called two-factor authentication, where you put in an email, like you put in your password, but then it sends you an email. And you have to verify. I don't know if you have you have accounts that do that. But so if you go into, let's say, Costco.com, and they might say, we're going to send you an email that you have to click a link.
Oh, yeah.
That's two-factor authentication. That's a good thing. I do like that.
Okay.
So there's our 4 effective strategies. Stay informed and skeptical. Number 2, verify information independently. Number 3, protect personal information. And then number 4, use secure and updated technology. So let's say you do get scammed. So what should you do if you get scammed? What's the first thing you do?
I have to call you because I don't know what to do other than that. I don't trust. There's nobody I trust more than you.
Yeah, and so it's always good to have somebody that you can trust. If you don't, even become friends with somebody at the local computer store.
That's a good idea.
And but I recommend having somebody, either a child of yours or a colleague or whatever it is, somebody that you always can go to and say, is this real? Is this not real? Mm-hmm. And you've done that mostly with emails that you'll send me. And every time, what do I say? It's a scam. So now you should know if they're a scam. Maybe you're not sending me as many as you used to, so I'm assuming that's because you are getting better at it.
Yeah, and there's so much that I delete. Well, there's been a couple that I said, they say this is expired. Remember that thing about the Amazon Prime or whatever?
Oh, yeah, those are always a good
one.
My God. This is expired, please verify.
Yeah, and things that it's like, what are you? Click.
Yeah.
It's gone.
The other things I will say, if you happen to get scammed, number 1, please report it. Now, I'm going to have in our show notes a couple of different ways to report it. The reason it's important to do that is that's the only way we're going to lessen it to some degree at the big scale.
Wait a minute. Report it to who?
To the government. There is literally an anti-fraud hotline through the U.S. Senate Aging Committee. And I think there's that, so it'll be aging.senate.gov, and I'll have that in there. But every state has a hotline that you need to have.
So you don't call the police?
Start with that. I mean,
Or you
police
start-
are not going to be able to do anything if it's somebody called you and you didn't do anything. But if you get a call that's a scam and you have that phone number or you have the email address, you should find that. I'm going to give it to you. You're in Michigan, so we'll get the one for the state of Michigan. There's one for tn.gov. It's right on the tn.gov website. That's the one for Tennessee.
Wow, yeah.
You always want to have that. That's one thing that you have. And I've got even the PDF that you can download to be able to see what to do when you have been scammed.
Wow.
States are trying their best to help you, especially the aging populations.
You know,
Okay.
you've got to give me some of this information. I meet with several women my age, and we don't know this stuff.
Which goes to number 3. So have a Charlie, report it, notify. Now, notify is your bank if you think that something's been
yeah.
stolen,
Right.
but also let people know that that's happening. Now, you don't have to send out, like, you know how you get on Facebook and everybody says, I think I've been hacked, and that's good because you don't want the impersonations out there.
Right.
But just watch out and let your friends know when that kind of stuff has happened. You be their advocate for the scams out there, and I think that's
Okay.
a great way of doing it. And then, of course, you block it. Anything that you can, if you get an email that you think is a scam, you can mark it as report and as scam or spam.
That's what I do a lot. I have a long list in the scam thing.
Yeah, and also through our government, U.S. government, do not call.gov. Do not call.gov. And there's also a hotline, 1-888-382-1222. That is the Do Not Call registry. You are not supposed to get any marketing calls if you're on the Do Not Call registry. That is literally a law. And so we will do that for you today. And but other people, it's donotcall.gov is the way, G-O-V, to get on the Do Not Call registry. And I highly recommend everybody should do that now.
Yeah.
Marketing is not something you should be doing over the phone, in my opinion, anymore.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay, so 4 different types: telephone, internet, investment, and healthcare scams. We've gone through those. If you are to be diligent, stay informed and skeptical, verify information independently, protect personal information, and use secure and updated technology. And of course, your last 4, get a Charlie, report it, notify, and block it.
Block.
What else do you have to help us out here?
When in doubt, hang up.
When in doubt, hang up. I love it. And so if you liked what you heard, don't hang up on us. But please subscribe to the Data for All podcast. That's dataforall.io. And hopefully this helps you or somebody you know out. Please send it off to that person. It should be the first guide to get people started. And look at the show notes for those links. We'll do our best to help you out and make sure that you and your family and friends are safe.
Good idea.
All right. So with that, I'm Charlie Apigian.
I'm Charlene Apigian.
And until next time.